this time, I will call the meeting of the Marshall City Council to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone here this evening. This is our first meeting in this location. We thank the school district for allowing us to use this. Hopefully the technology works well, and the rebroadcast will come through fine. We have an agenda before us. Are there any additions or deletions or changes to that agenda? If not, we'll operate under that agenda. The first item then would be the consent agenda. There's a question. You have trouble hearing us? Okay. We'll do, we may have some glitches as we get used to things, but Jess, are the microphones on?
I assume so.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. Can you hear that?
Perhaps it's... Okay. I'll continue on. That seems to be coming through. Okay. I'll continue on. The agenda item number 1 is to consider the approval of the minutes of the last regular council meeting. That was held December 15th. The council does have those minutes printed before you in the packet. Are there any changes, corrections to those minutes? If not, is there a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Charlie to approve the minutes as they have been presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion passes. Agenda item number 2 is the consent agenda, and on the screen is the consent agenda. And we'll be operating with 2 screens this evening. So I'll ask at this time, any of the items on the consent agenda, of those items, is there any item that any member of the council wants removed for purposes of separate discussion?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Charlie to approve all of the items on the consent agenda. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. We'll move on then to new business. The first item of new business would be to call for a public hearing that would be held on January 27th for a new liquor license for Lion Street Grill and Bar. The location would be Lot 1, Block 1 of OK First Edition. Ben, do you have this? We have information on this, and I'll call on first Ben, and then Tom, you may have some additional information on this.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the City Council, I think I'll just turn it over to the City Clerk, Finance Director, come to the podium to speak.
The city is in receipt of an application for an on-sale liquor license for the Lion Street Grill and Bar. This is an establishment that has not been constructed at this point. Their intent is to be granted a liquor license so that they have that available for when their facility gets constructed. The location of this is close to the American. And basically what's being requested at this time is the authorization for a public hearing to be held on January 27th, 2009 at 5:30 p.m.
Okay, questions for Tom?
Have we prorated them in the past?
Yes, we have prorated them in the past.
Any other questions?
I move that we have the public hearing as recommended.
Second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Charlie to call for the public hearing on this new liquor license application for Lion Street Grill and Bar that would be held on January 27th. Discussion on that motion? Not a call for a vote on that motion. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item number 4, consider the renewal of the workers' compensation insurance effective January 1st, 2009. Once again, I'll ask Tom Melbrook to come forward to present the information on the workers' comp insurance renewal. Tom? And Tom, I wonder if we just put the microphone in the stand, will that reduce some of the feedback? I'm just guessing.
The work comp insurance that the city of Marshall has is with the League of Minnesota Cities. The request that we have before you this evening is to renew that work comp insurance effective January 1st with the League of Minnesota Cities. In the information that you should have, anyway, the premium for the work comp insurance for 2009 will be, or estimated at $181,611, which compares to $144,513 in 2008. The reason for this increase is that the experience modifier that is assigned to the city is based on the past 3 years' claims. Our claims over that period of time have been higher than normal. So our experience modifier has increased from a 0.78 to a 0.90. Also, the increase in the premium is a reflection of increase in wages and also an increase in rate for the different categories of the employees within the city. The renewal is being recommended with a $5,000 medical deductible and a managed care credit of a 2%. This was reviewed with the Insurance Advisory Committee, and they're recommending the renewal.
Questions?
Questions? Mike?
Yes, why isn't this one done with all the rest of them like 2 months ago in October?
This one is on a calendar year basis.
Well, I understand, but most of our policies are January 1 to December 31st, and we act on them.
Health, dental, and life bar. With the work comp, we have to send in the expected wages for the upcoming year, and we try to utilize what's being budgeted in the new year. So by the time we submit those numbers and they get the information back to us, this is when we're...
So my next question is, and Dennis, maybe you can answer it. We've been basically operating since January 1st without coverage.
No, I don't think so. I would believe that previous year's coverage would carry over until this is approved.
Do we know that?
I have talked to the insurance and informed them that at this council meeting we would be approving it, and she said that was satisfactory for us to move forward with that.
Good question. Other questions? And this was reviewed by the Insurance Advisory Committee at their December 30th.
Yeah, and the other thing Tom touched on a little bit, but we've had a couple years where we've had some pretty high numbers, and when you put the 3 years together, that's why our modifier keeps going down, and next year we'll be losing one of those large years off of there, so the rate will adjust, and we'll be seeing a little bit more of a discount than we got right now, so that's... I'd make a motion to renew the works comp.
Second.
Motion by Charlie, seconded by Mike to renew the workers' compensation insurance effective January 1st, 2009, as recommended by the Insurance Advisory Committee. Discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Agenda item number 5 is consider the authorization to contact engineering consultants for the design and construction inspection of economic stimulus projects, two being proposed, the Highway 23 pedestrian underpass and the Madrid Street Bridge. Glenn Olson, Director of Public Works, City Engineer, has provided some written information. I'll turn the podium to Glenn to provide any additional information. Glenn?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You've got the memo that I sent concerning these projects. And what's happened is that both the state and federal have been sending out information on economic stimulus packages and what projects would be ready to be bid and awarded and begin construction in 2009. There's kind of a moving target in what's happening with both legislative areas, but the city has submitted potential projects for those economic stimulus projects, whether they be federal or state. And included in that is this pedestrian underpass between the high school facilities and SMSU on Trunk Highway 23. That project may be difficult to manage in that period of time, and so one of the primary items is to get authorization from council to go ahead and do the engineering consultant work prior to those projects being awarded. I will say that it's not going to be a waste of effort in that we would like to have it constructed, whether it's done under the economic stimulus plan or some other project in conjunction with MnDOT's proposed reconstruction of Trunk Highway 23 from Amaret Street essentially all the way to Russell, a large $20+ million project. And this one fits in that, and I wouldn't say if in fact that project would go ahead without this being in there, we would be hard pressed to ever develop this project. Just due to the sheer cost of having to redevelop that entire section. So this one we're looking for authorization for contacting the engineering consultants. We would be back to this council with a recommended consulting firm at the next meeting, and I have been in contact with 2 or 3 already, indicating that the important part of the whole project is that they have the time, the manpower, the willingness to get it designed to comply with whatever regulations come out of the economic stimulus plan. Each of them has said, yes, we're ready to do that, and would give us a cost not to exceed to do that. We have different contractors in mind, different consultants in mind for each of the work based upon the work that they've done to date on these projects, so that there's not a ramp up time. But we will be contacting more than one for each of these projects. This is the first one, and now I'd like to switch over from the video 1 to video 3 and just show you a conceptual. This is kind of a trial run of our system. So if we could switch over from video 1 to video 3. This is just a concept of the crossing, showing 2 separated box culvert structures going beneath Trunk Highway 23 and actually leading all the way up through State Street in front of the university up into their green space area just north of the main entrance to the university. So it's intended to be wide enough. It is intended for pedestrians and bicycles, but we would make those 2 sections wide enough to be able to have like a cart system go back and forth underneath there for equipment and even people back and forth there if we needed to. But it's intended to be primarily pedestrian walkway, but enabled to be wide enough for I'll call it 4-wheelers and that type of thing with trailers. Now if I could go back to video the award.
Can I ask you a question with that?
Yes.
When you have that, is it going to be a street level like on the State Street side, or so it's a see-through? So when you have like a police officer can drive by, see-through, lighted.
See-through lighting. The problem with that is now that we have to take it under State Street, the open area coming out of it will actually be past the street, and you would have to go actually drive around to where it did come up to see through, but you'll be able to see through from the other end completely as well. It's intended to be about, these are about numbers, 4 feet below grade, 4 feet above grade. So that's the issue with MinDOT's coordination, is that hump in the road, coming back down and getting good visibility into the signalized intersection at Trunk Highway 19.
Glenn, you may want to make a comment on, you know, why a underpass as opposed to a bridge. And
Really, there's several operational difficulties with an overpass and a bridge over the top. One, it's a huge cost differential. Number two, it's seldom used because of the issue of going up either a spiral staircase for handicapped accessibility and then over the top. They found that many people, if it's not completely fenced off on the right, will come to that spot and cross that grade anyway. Or go up around to another intersection. So the cost and usability of an overpass and bridge structure is much more expensive and seldom used.
Is there any problem with drainage?
Drainage.
If you're going 4 foot below grade?
We have storm sewer from the county ditch system just north of there. And we also have storm sewer that will go north from Amoret Street to the channel. So drainage of the structure at the bottom of this grade, yes, it will have to be raised out into a receiving area. The worst case scenario is that there would have to be a mini lift put in the bottom of the structure if there's not grades installed. But we believe that there's plenty of grade because of the county ditch pipe north of this, not too far, probably 2 blocks away. And that's buried. It goes all the way out to the discharge of the high school pond and then out east there from there to the county ditch system.
Wouldn't wind be a factor too? I don't think like today I would like to be walking on an overhead bridge across.
It's going to be used because of the dip on these bikes. You know, once you have to get off and unless you're a really good biker. But you've seen the ones Sioux Falls across the interstate there.
St. Cloud has a
Yeah,
couple.
St. Cloud has one too. So that's the recommendation, and it has to be coordinated, and if it's not ready by the incentive package, I mean, that's the important part about the project. And the latest is that from the time of authorization of funding by the feds to the states, they've got 90 days to get the project bid and under the construction, actually bid. That's the current direction today. I heard earlier it would be 90 to 180 days, but maybe there's a phase 1, phase 2 program. Most of the projects that we will see will probably be maintenance projects. We have some maintenance projects that we've submitted, some overlays on the state aid system, for instance. We could get those out in 30 days if we had. So we do have some of those projects as well, but these are pretty major ones that if we don't get them under this package and we don't get them constructed and MinDOT is doing theirs, we probably won't be doing it. Just because of carrying out 10 inches of concrete, redoing the grade all the way from Amoret Street to Trunk Highway 19, it'd be $1 million project.
Is there a local match for that
This
that
would
you're
be a
talking about?
local match, and if it's a federally funded project, they've indicated to this point, the construction costs are 100%. Normally it's an 80-20, and I would count on an 80-20 until we've got the program, but normally the 80-20 split is what we would expect on a project like that. But this would be put against that if in fact there was a split. If it's not, this would be what we would have to provide. So we don't know the package yet. All we know is that do it under this program, we have to have it ready to bid by the time that package comes out. If we could go back to Dennis board, the number one, and Dennis, okay, back up. You can see right here where we've kind of indicated from right-of-way line to right-of-way line in MnDOT, but then going through State Street and emptying out into this green space. Then we would have to extend the sidewalk from there to their sidewalk system as well.
What about on the other side?
The other side, yes.
Is there gonna be?
A lot of conversation going on now with what this area will develop to, what this area will develop into, but there would be a roadway. See, none of this exists anymore.
Right.
That's all gone. So, and this, you can't have a crossover. So this would be a right in, right out only coming into and theoretically attached the school's perimeter roadway at the location of the main entrance
Okay.
to this high school. So this would be kind of a separation. And then how this develops into Schwann's commercial area is still up in the air and being developed as far as how they want to develop the commercial area. And then this would extend on the north side of that road up to the schools area. And then where we stop the bike path last year over here, that would be extended to connect with this and ultimately up to Emmerett Street and over to wherever we need to go. Okay. This, we would intend now to connect it here, connect this here, and connect it to the existing bike path, and not go up this direction unless this is where the soccer field is going to go first. We would certainly extend them to where the youth center is. That would be the intent, is to go across this thing. Any other questions on that? And it's one of those things where we've been looking at, the Chamber Transportation Committee is the one that really brought this one forward and brought it to the feds through Oberstar's office. And Congressman Oberstar's been here at least twice on this project as well as on the next project that we'll talk about at the airport as well. So it's a favorable project. People know about it, local, state, and federal level. Tell us, how do we get it? How do we get it going?
When is that state looking at redoing that road?
Sorry.
What is the state looking at the redoing that?
2010.
10?
And they're expecting to have plans done by the end of October of this year for bidding this winter for construction in 2010. And that's one of the large projects in the state.
So they could, if we got this project early, they could get up to Emmerett Street with the state aid.
What we
Wow.
have proposed to MnDOT is phasing that project and maybe separating out this section from the rest of it. Still having it as one large, construction bidding time, but maybe having this one phased separate from the rest. I mean, it's such a big project
No.
that, when they actually physically got to the construction of this might be a different schedule. For instance, if this can't get under construction by the fall of '09 or at the latest spring of 10, it's supposed to be under construction really in 2009. So, how physically can we get that done? Can they break that out so they don't have to do all the design all the way to Russell? Sure. Maybe they've already got that design done and to bid that in July, August, rather than bid November, December.
One other question I'd have is when you do when you're heading north on Highway 23 and you're coming to this 4-foot increase, I mean, you're gonna have to grade up to get to that. How does that affect the safety of the intersection that the school has on the opposite side of that as you're coming, because it's going to be a site difference coming to that point.
And that would all be taken care of in MnDOT's achievable of what elevation would be consistent with sight distances for those intersections. Not only Highway 19, but Amaret Street.
Yeah.
They'll look at that, see how fast you're going over that.
Yeah. Well, that's, yeah, that, yeah.
It's a speed issue, it's a sight distance issue, and it's a land, they call it a land.
Cause you don't have that much distance between that place and then the intersection where the high school comes out and crosses the road, so.
I think we have enough.
Okay.
And I think they're comfortable with it pretty much too, because I think it's gotta be a half mile to get up and down. And you do have signalization there, but we're still coming through at 55 on the state line, right? Still coming through at 55.
Yeah.
But we're generally sitting up at about 3 feet off of the highway anyway in your car, 3.2 feet or something. If you have 4-foot grades, it doesn't take you much to get over these 10 foot grades. If it was 8 feet, it would be a problem. The next one we have is the Madrid Street Bridge, and this is our airport. This is Channel Parkway, Madrid Street, U.S. Bank, and then our Parkway addition here. And the proposal in our airport layout plan and in our capital improvement program at the airport includes this development of this facility. And really to open up even the potential of any development over here, a connection has to be made to that area. We have an alternate connection, and we have a municipal state aid system, non-constructed roadway segment that does cross here, and has the alternative of an eventual connection from this road all the way up to Trunk Highway 68 as well. Okay, so but this connection is certainly the most inexpensive, most direct route. Comes up Highway 19, our 4-lane Channel Parkway, real good access to this area, and this would be the bridge area that we're talking about. The proposed bridge would span this channel that was built in the early 60s. The city has ownership of the facility. We would certainly run it by the Corps, but as long as we stay at grade here, and we're not going to be dipping down into the channel, have it dip down to bring it down to the flood elevation that comes through here. So we're completely out of any flooded elevation by just using the street grades as the grade of the bridge that we're using. The bridge itself is about $1 million for that, and then this would be constructed at a later time under our municipal state aid system. We considered putting in this whole loop for the package, but without the bridge, no use putting that in. So let's do what we can try to get done. I've also contacted a couple engineering firms on their ability to work on those. We had real good results with Erickson and Street Bridge section, and we had a consultant, Banner Engineering out of Brooklyn, that actually designed and constructed for did the consulting on the North 7th Street Bridge, which is identical to this. And so there's some history that maybe you can take a set of plans kind of off the shelf and modify it according to the specific conditions. You can't use the same one. Soil conditions might be different, the span is going to be different, but the hydraulic conditions are the same. That's a good place to start. And we have others that are interested in that too, but those are two that we've worked with in the past, specifically on Channel Parkway and specifically on other city projects. Like I said, Erickson was really good to work with on the street one. So that's kind of the ones that we're looking at. I'm sure Walton Lake would be interested as well. TKDA might. So we're going to ask those if we can head with
Mike, you have a question?
This has been, no, discussion about this bridge with the airport commission for better than 2 years. And basically, if you look at that 5-3, there is no area to develop any more where our arrival, departure, hangars, and everything are. There is no room for expansion. It's got to come over to this corner and start going the other direction. So there's been a lot of time and discussion on
We also
this.
have considerable contacts by people who are interested in our facility once they see the facility. We probably should do a better job at advertising and promotion, but you want to make sure that you've got a facility for them to come to before you start doing it. So those are really the two projects that we're looking for authorization to get it on the board. We'll, whether or not we get the economic stimulus plan, we've got it on our CI, capital improvement program, and on our layout plan, and it won't be money that we are spending every year. The project.
I would move authorization to contact engineering firms on these two projects.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Dan to authorize the contacting of the consulting firms to work on these two projects. Discussion on that motion? If not, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. At least for right now, I want to skip by the next agenda item and move on to agenda item number 7, and that would be to consider the approval of the pay equity implementation report to the Minnesota Department of Employee Relations. With that, we do have the complete report here, and I'll turn to City Administrator Ben Martig.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of the City Council. Included in your packet is a background memo as well as the information used to compile the report, as well as the actual report itself. As you can tell, it is done, it's all done electronically online now through the state of Minnesota, so we do not have any paper format. The state of Minnesota is one of the few, I think it's one of only 2 states in the nation that have anything, a type of a law like this. As a public municipality, we're required to adopt a pay classification system that ranks internally the job duties and responsibilities and assigns a evaluation or point system to each of those respective positions. I won't get into the details of that, but my understanding is the council went through one of those reviews in the fairly recent history, and we do have a complete implementation and summary of those of our wage schedule, as well as the points that are assigned to each of those positions. The purpose of the state law under pay equity is basically to determine an internal gender equity by pay class, to basically illustrate that there is no discrimination where female classes and male classes, or male positions and female positions are paid in an unequal basis. So because we are in compliance with our schedule, I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining all the details of it, but we have a reporting schedule that we've come up on where we're required to report by the end of January. Our internal staff, a number of different staff people are involved in inputting the data into the computer system, and basically what they have to do is input our adopted wage schedule and point system as of the end of December 2008, as well as for each position whether or not they fit into a male or a female class. The computer system itself runs a regression analysis based on that data and determines whether or not we are in compliance within that as well. We do fall within the compliance requirement of the report, and so in fact the city does not need to make any adjustments to its wage schedule related to that. If we had to, there's a number of different options you can do to come into compliance, and there would be a lot of discretion and discussion that we would have as far as how to come into compliance with that. With that, again, I don't plan on presenting a whole lot of other detail with that, other than to recommend that the City Council adopt the pay equity implementation report, and again, we are in compliance with that reporting as required by state law.
Okay, questions for Ben? If Not, is there a motion to approve the pay equity implementation report?
Second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Charlie. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. I'll now back up to agenda item number 6. This would be the consider appointments to boards and commission. The council did meet prior to this, actually last week, and interviewed candidates for the Community Services Advisory Committee, the Hospital Board, and the Library Board. Dennis, I had asked you a question today. Is there any issue that we have to be concerned about? Okay. Based on the council's interviews, I would recommend that the following people be appointed to the following boards and commissions. That Katie Gendro be appointed to the Community Services Advisory Committee. I'd also note that the school district has also acted on the same appointment. That Dr. Paul Pitts be appointed to the Hospital Board, and that Suzanne DeBrule be appointed to the Library Board. And I'd offer that as a recommendation and entertain a motion to confirm.
Second.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Dan. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. Okay, agenda item number 8, the Economic Development Authority, or agenda item number 8 is Council Member Commission Board Liaison reports. I'll start from the Economic Development Authority. Both Dan, Councilmember Ritter, and I attended the EDA meeting today. Major actions of the EDA were the conclusion of the action that was approved by the council earlier, that being the Community Reinvestment Fund loan to the to Midwest Aviation, as well as the approving the sales agreement for bare lots that I know city attorney has worked with on that. It also was quite a comprehensive annual report from the EDA director, and I think it would be good to share that with the rest of the council. We don't have copies of that written report for the rest of the council, but it showed a wide range of activities that he's been involved in. Regional Development Commission, I attended that meeting last week, and as we talked earlier in our agenda about economic stimulus, potential projects, the Regional Development Commission is also having similar discussions, because every city, every township, every school district, every local entity was asked to submit potential projects, and whether or not others are as in position to construct as what perhaps we will be is an open question, though. So there's a lot of questions about that. Mike?
The airport meeting was scheduled last night, got postponed or canceled, one or the other. Most of you are already aware, Lyon County Development Corporation is losing our director, North Johnson, is already working as economic development in Sturgis. He will be back at the end of this month for 2 or 3 days to work on a couple of projects, and we've hired an interim, Denise from EDA, to work on an hourly basis on anything that comes up. And we are meeting on Wednesday to a plan of attack where we go from here. And it's at the same time as our other meetings. I probably won't be able to attend that. Merritt did meet Thursday night. Basically, all we did was update Ed Keynes and talks and so forth, so there was really nothing new. Ways and Means and Eleanor are both scheduled. And Ben, I guess I'll ask you a question. You sent an email out to me about those 2 meetings, but there was nothing attached on that I see. I'm assuming the materials are going to come later.
Yes, we're working on the agendas for all the subcommittees are getting scheduled. And just as a point of, just so you all know too, when the scheduling goes out to you on all these various meetings, they're really Kathy Lee doing the scheduling through my computer system.
Okay.
So although it might appear that it's coming directly from me, it is actually Kathy who's doing all of the scheduling. But if there is ever any questions on that, feel free to either reply
Well,
to
my
the
only
email.
question was, it said I see something, and it was blank. It didn't say anything. I was assuming there were no attachments
Okay.
for us.
We'll work on getting the agenda and related materials out over the next couple days here.
That's it.
Okay, Jenny?
The library board was supposed to meet last night, but it was postponed because of the weather. So that's all I have.
Okay, Mike?
Utilities and hospital meet next week.
And Dan?
Like you had said, in the housing commission last night was
And Charlie?
Oh, the only one I had was the cable commission. We met, we visited the bistro or the commercial Schwann's commercial building or whatever it's called next to the bistro, the site that they have for a proposed studio. Looked at the area, and then we had our meeting afterwards. And afterwards, I asked them to bring forward what the Ways and Means Committee had asked for the fees and the schedules and stuff, to bring back recommendations for that, and some of the policies that for who they would charge and what they would charge for each of the things. They're going to bring it back in February, hopefully have it finalized by March, so that we would have it back to Ways and Means sometime in March or April.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll move on then to agenda item number 9. That would be staff reports, and I'll turn to Ben Martig, City Administrator.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of City Council, I have a verbal report this evening. As you know, we do have a hospital, joint hospital meeting and closed session tomorrow evening. You should have all received a 3-ring binder that's quite large. It provides background documentation for that meeting itself. In that meeting, we are continuing to discuss the terms of the negotiating points of that agreement that we're working towards. As you know, or in contacting you directly, as well as you might have read it in the local media today, they are putting a placeholder on potentially a public meeting Thursday evening. It would not be a council meeting, but a meeting of the hospital board to present details of the agreement if things go, if they move along in Wednesday's meeting. So that would be at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, but it's all subject to what happens tomorrow evening. We also, as you know, have earmarked a special meeting of the City Council on the 20th, as well to continue discussions related to the sale. And I think after Wednesday evening, we'll have more direction or public notice on exactly what will happen that evening. So wanted to just, again, make you aware of that, and that's proceeding along for further discussion tomorrow evening. And again, that is at the hospital board meeting room where that will take place. We are working now. We've been holding off on the printing of the budget to kind of get our final, as much as possible, expenditures for the end of December to get booked. And we feel at this point we're pretty much should have most of those items in there. It won't be audited, but we do like to include year-to-date for December to include with that. So we will be working internally in the administration office to get those printed and distributed out. Right now I'm kind of thinking when we hand out the second meeting in January is when we distribute those agendas. You'll be also getting a full copy of the budget. If there's anything you're particularly interested between now and then, it is all in the computer system, so we can't print any individual pages. If any of you, for any of your boards or anything that you're assigned to, if you want any of that, we can always print those individually, and you can just put in a request related to that. We are working towards a work plan facilitation for 2009. It's kind of that strategic visioning discussion that we've talked about. As of now, the direction that we're taking a look at is, depending on your schedules, and maybe we can either talk about that tonight or another time, we're kind of thinking the first week in February or around then to have a special council work session to go through a discussion of the upcoming projects that that staff is kind of working on developing for priorities for 2009. It also will foster some discussion related to policies that we want direction on, maybe items of particular importance that we want to get achieved. Some time ago, we debated the idea about whether we get a facilitator in here for any of that, and I think based on the budget constraints that we're working on, as well as kind of where we're headed, I think we're looking at really more of just kind of a work plan. And so I would anticipate that it would be a staff-led discussion, and I'd be utilizing some of our division directors in that discussion, and I'd help facilitate that. It'll include very big picture policy things and how we propose to approach different issues. It'll also include items that we might not talk about specifically that night, but that would have more detailed. Are some of the things that staff is working on accomplishing for the upcoming year, so that you can have a good handle on really what we have as some priorities, as well as getting some discussion related to that as well. So if it goes as we normally do as far as meeting scheduling, are any of you aware that you are going to be unavailable for the first week in February?
Hopefully.
Hopefully you will be available, or will not?
Hopefully I won't, but
Okay. Well, why don't I have Kathy Lee follow up with all of you to find out what might work? Sooner than later is good. I even threw around the idea of the last week in January, but with a council meeting that week, I think I'd really prefer to do it on one of our off weeks. But we'll get in contact with you, and we are working towards that. If there's anything in particular you're concerned about or want to make sure is addressed, in the meantime, let me know. Otherwise, we'll probably give you a little taster at the next council meeting as to what we've got kind of on that work list. One other item, well, several other items. An item that kind of came up here recently is you might recall the State of Minnesota deed grant that we had for $500,000 on the junior high site when we were working on a specific housing project. Our original discussions with the Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership kind of suggested that because that original application or project kind of went by the wayside with the change in direction from the Schwann Company related to that property, they felt basically we had to turn that money back for that site. However, in some discussions that I had with DEED, following up on some of the reporting, we have now been told that we can potentially look at doing an amendment to the plan to still get those monies allocated to upgrade infrastructure to that site. And so we are moving forward. We had a staff meeting this afternoon to discuss how we might approach that. And we're going to be moving ahead with a proposal to provide some flexibility on the reuse of that property, recognizing that we do have some land use discussions ahead of us. But to try and, if we can at all, capture that and keep that a grant available for us to help offset some of our infrastructure costs into that site, we are going to move ahead to try and do that. So wanted to make you aware of that, because at one point I think we thought it was pretty much dead, and now it's potentially still available. They have placed a reporting deadline of February 2nd on us, and we'll be working towards that. I think at the next council meeting I'll have more direction, or probably just an FYI. I don't need your action to submit the report, but wanted to make you aware that that potentially would still be available to us. At the upcoming one other item, and I didn't mention it during Councilmember Bodenheimer's report, but I was not at the merit meeting this week. But one item that I think I might want to highlight to you is we have had discussions on bonding, what I would call a technical fix to the bonding technical fix that we have. The city was authorized for $300,000 for some equipment improvements out at the Merit Center. The language, from my understanding, at the last minute was amended somehow to just specifically state that the funding was for preliminary design work, but we are also purchasing equipment and also doing some construction related to that we needed the language specifically added in. It's an off bonding year for the state of Minnesota, but they do allow for technical fixes. So Ed Kane, who we have worked with on some of these legislative items, met with Mr. Senator Frederickson this week. Actually on Monday. I have not had a chance to touch base with them, but there also has been correspondence with Representative Seifert as well. So we are moving forward to get that language changed so that we can get our funding this year, basically. So wanted to make you aware of that. I do have a coalition of Greater Minnesota cities legislative meeting at the Capitol on Thursday, and particularly in light of the budget cuts, as well as the board seat that I have there, and I haven't been able to make one of their meetings yet. I think it's important that I get out there. I might have to cut it short if we do proceed with these hospital proceedings to get back Thursday evening, but I also have a meeting scheduled with Senator Frederickson and a representative as well that day, assuming that I'm available in the afternoon and don't have to come back early. But I'll also I'll follow up and make sure that language is getting submitted, but that will be a bill that we are, that will be that we'll be submitting really on behalf of the city for that amendment.
As of Thursday night, we had not had a response, but my understanding was they had to change 3 words in the thing to add the word and or construction. So it's apparently Frederickson, and am I aware of it, don't seem to be having a problem with introducing that little technical change. So we'll see.
In relation to the local government aid discussions too, I have been trying to track as closely as possible any discussions at the legislature. At this point, it's all pretty tight-lipped as far as what proposals are specifically being put out there as far as local government aid. Again, nothing has changed. It has been recognized by both major parties that there will be local government aid will be part of the solution. Reductions in local government aid will be part of the solution in the state's a shortfall of deficit that they're facing. Again, hopefully the meeting coming up on Thursday, we might find out information. I've started hearing some rumors in tracking that, but I don't know how valuable some of that is at this point. But internally as well, we're starting some staff discussions about how we might prepare ourselves for these upcoming reductions. And I have started some of that work now, and next meeting I'm actually going to be providing probably a recommendation for some other actions by the council to take in relation to some of the cost control measures. And I don't want to get into the particulars of that tonight, but do want to give you a heads up that there is work being done to analyze that as well, and I'll keep you posted on any once the information starts to come out. The governor does have a deadline of, I believe, January 26th to submit his budget. The League of Minnesota Cities is scheduling a web conference the day after to kind of analyze the implications of that, as well as some of the feedback from the House and the Senate, which they will be coming up with their own budget proposals as well. I did participate in a human resources web conference hosted by the League of Minnesota Cities. It's probably available on their website as well if you wanted to listen to or follow any of that. But it talked about a number of legal issues to consider, as many cities will be facing reductions in staffs and different things related to HR and implications that the city might want to think about. Assistant to the city administrator Dubs and I sat in on that discussion as well, and I believe that was the first, they call it a webinar hosted by the league, and basically we sat around my computer and they had a PowerPoint presentation and everybody logged in. I believe there was over 220 people logged into the session, and there was no fee for it. So, you know, these emerging technologies are really useful where we don't have to drive up to the Twin Cities and waste a day for a short conference, and allows us to communicate with them. So I thought it was a really valuable conference that they hosted there as well. One of the items too with the end of the year budget that we adopted, basically all of the union agreements are open for 2009, and with some of the changing adoptions of the budgets, we pretty much put that on hold. We are starting to reschedule some of those discussions with the unions now in the next coming weeks, and I'm anticipating at the next council meeting that we will probably have a closed meeting update on some of those discussions, but did want to make you aware that we are reactivating those. I think they appreciated the fact that there was some turn of events as kind of the end of the year came about, related to, you know, the reductions that we were facing in our LGA for 2008 as well as 09 and 10, and I think we'll, you know, still be working within that framework, but I do want to move towards trying to get some type of agreements put in place for 2009, even though there are a number of things up in the air related to our potential local government aid that we're looking at. A reminder again of the Employee Appreciation and Recognition event this upcoming Friday. I haven't really been tracking the RSVPs, but I hope you're all available to make it, and I believe that Kathy Lee has been kind of tracking all of that information. And at this point, I'm waiting to be told exactly how the event's being scheduled. I've been relying on staff to kind of set up the agenda for the evening, and so we'll be talking shortly about how we go through the awards process. My understanding is it'll be similar to what's been done in the past, and since you've all been around here for some time, I would anticipate kind of some of the same type of procedures as they've done. We are closed for Martin Luther King holiday the upcoming Monday, so I want to make you aware of that as well, just so you're aware. We are, with the change of the council meetings, I am I do continue to have a radio program where I give updates with a local radio station. It's now moving to Wednesdays at 2 p.m. If any of you care to listen to my updates, we usually focus on the council agenda items that were discussed. And Aaron Zemer kind of identifies the priorities of that, so we will be moving forward with that. Kind of tied to that whole public communication as well as internal communication, that'll be one of the things that I'll talk about too at the upcoming working strategic planning event that we'll be having. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in detail as well at that time. We've talked internally about, is just one of the examples, potentially having a short video recap of the council meeting that would be available on our website as well as on a cable access channel as a way to kind of communicate to the public as well, where they might have to sit through and watch an entire council meeting, but maybe get at least some of the highlights with that as well. I will also, as a reminder, I see on the agenda like the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I think one of the items to think about this time of the year is I need to double check to see what types of boards or groups have to come in and do annual reports to the city council and when those are usually scheduled. I assume the EDA and the CVB come and do those, and I'm not sure which other ones, so I'll be following up with those. It's just kind of a little reminder here to present to the city council a year-end report on any of those types of organizations. With the meeting tonight, we did, again in the correspondence, we've moved to the 3-ring binder to see how this would work. From a staff standpoint, we do have our new copier scanner in place, which is starting to change the way we do things as far as utilizing things in a digital format versus paper. But in addition, the staff time spent and has reduced dramatically by going to this type of a format versus the actual bound document. We can go back to that version if the council really likes it, but what we've asked is that you leave these binders behind, and what we were thinking about doing was either giving you a folder, or we can have a manila envelope, or maybe the larger clips, maybe kind of whatever any of you might want to take back with you, or maybe some of you just want your items recycled, or you want to just keep a couple pages. Kind of wanted to leave it up to you, but we used to have potentially, we do a lot of copying Friday all day, and we've reduced down where we even had to have some of Glenn's staff come down and help with the binding. This time we had to have zero help from any other staff people, and it was done really smoothly, and the 3-hole punches is done right from our copy machine. And so we'd like to utilize this format if we can, and we hope that it's something that you find useful. But if there's any changes to that, let me know. But we would like you to leave behind the 3-ring binders, but we also want to make it accommodating to you too, as far as how if you guys file at home or something, just let me know, and we can accommodate to each of you with that. Also, with our new location, if you have any concerns, one is potentially come up, I guess, tonight is do we have a speaker system that allows the voices to carry to the rest of the room? Might be an issue that we want to look at, but any other procedural things or recommendations that you might have, I think it would be good to get any feedback. Again, we want to give us a chance to work out some of the kinks. We can always go back to our old location, but we want to give this a try for a while, and hopefully this will work out for us as well. So if you have any comments, just let me know. I did meet this week with the North Memorial Ambulance Service as well to talk about their facility. We'd had some preliminary discussions in the budget review about potentially expanding that facility. They have indicated that they are not in an urgent situation to move that forward. In fact, they would prefer that any contractual arrangements not start to affect until 2010. So I think we've got plenty of time to let those discussions develop, but wanted to make you aware that I did have those discussions. The next council meeting as well, I do continue to work on the Merit Center lease agreement to get that finalized, and expect to have some actions coming up on that. One last item I wanted to comment on that I assume you are all pretty well connected. It came late this afternoon, but our major employer in town, you might have noticed, has released a press release on a number of additional layoffs with the Schwann Company, and that press release is in our local media, and I noticed it is on their website. But I wanted to make you aware, the mayor and I did meet with the CEO this morning upon request, kind of a courtesy meeting to make us aware of what was coming down, that there would be a pending press release later today. And And I don't know if the mayor wants to comment any further on that, but I think it was just a good opportunity to communicate back and forth what was going on with their company. And the city is not, we're not looking at taking any direct action at this point. There's kind of the human resources group that I think are going to get activated again as they did the last time, which I think they appreciated. But Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you have anything to comment, but that would conclude my comments for the evening for my report.
Okay. Excuse me. Thank you, Glenn. I think that covered it well. Any questions for Ben? If not, we'll move on to council member individual items. Jenny?
No.
Charlie? Dan? Mike?
Yes, just one. With all this saving money at the city by going to electronic and digital and so forth, all you're doing is pushing the copy costs off on me to print it on my own machine at home and pay for it. You may want to keep that in mind. The agendas and all the pages of garbage that I'm printing now, the city was providing us with before.
That has come up in some other boards that I've sat in on, and we continue to offer a paper alternative for anybody. I think there's a number of ways that we're implementing electronic where we don't need to have paper copies, but we certainly still want to have paper versions available for commission members and the council. There's still always going to be the need for that, at least in today's age as of now. So
Airport Commission is a good example. When they get the agendas and all the supplemental information handouts, it's all an attachment on an email, and I'm supposed to print it out and read it. I want a hard copy. All you've done is shift the city expense to me.
You know, I'll use the EDA as an example. There's both options. It is sent out electronically. However, for individuals that would prefer a paper copy, which I do, we receive a paper copy also. But we also have members that bring a laptop to the meeting and have no paper. So it's people are at different places.
Buy me a laptop and I'll do that.
we'll make sure to make that clear that that is an option that's available. We certainly don't expect you to personally pay for those expenses yourself.
That's all.
Okay, Mike.
The only item I have is I'm still missing two city administrator performance evaluations. So if you can give them to me tomorrow night, that'd be fine when we meet at the hospital.
Okay. We'll move on then to the pending agenda items. Any comments on the pending agenda items?
Well, just one, Dennis, have we made any headway at all in the last 3 months on my Maple Street Alley easement acquisition?
Now, within the last 3 months, Mr. Boatingheimer, I'm working with MMU to get their assistance to help get some signatures. So it is.
Well, I just don't want it to fall off and never get finished. I mean, that's been a city boo-boo that was made 30 years ago. We should correct it one of these days.
Aware of that, yes.
That's it.
Any other comments on pending agenda items? Not agenda item number 12 is information, the building permits as well as a summary of previous years compared to 08. Any comments on the building permits?
Just one, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you might or might not recall that we used to put this under the consent agenda, and our internal discussion was that it's technically not an approval of the city council, so we've just moved it to an informational item, and that's how we will now be including it in your packet, is just in the back as information, and if you wanted to bring up any discussion points, you'd be able to comment, but we intended to do that going forward.
Move on then to agenda item number 13. This would be the determination by the city council to go into closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute to discuss the pending litigation related to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency violations or alleged violations. Is there a motion to go into closed session for that purpose?
So moved.
Motion by Mike, seconded by Dan. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, we will go into closed session.